Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
It's Wednesday. And you know what that means?
Hump day!
It means tomorrow's Family Feud day. That's what what that means. Yeah. Yeah. So we're playing Family Feud tomorrow. Very excited about that. Very excited to talk about some baseball with you guys in Liverpool. Yeah.
Oh, wow. How's the travel been, huh? How's the travel? How's the weather?
Weather's great. They keep saying how like this is the best weather that they've had in years. Like they don't like it's been like low 70s. They're like they don't have air conditioners here because it doesn't really get that hot. So everyone's enjoying London. Liverpool. The second that we got here, we saw a physical altercation within 20 minutes.
Yes. Was it a knifing?
No, it was the classic like Gen Z physical altercation where they were like fighting and filming each other at the same time. Like they were assaulting each other, but they both wanted proof of the assault.
How is that? You can't engage in hand-to-hand combat if you're using one hand to hold a person
you can.
And the other hand to film. Like, what do you how's that go?
You can. It was wild. And then, I say this all the time, but back in the Barstool Radio era days, I used to tell real life stories, things that happened. And people would be like, there's no fucking way he's lying. He's making this shit up. Another story like that happened. Again, it was right after this fight. So we get there, unload the bags, go downstairs, and we're outside waiting in line to go get dinner. And it's in like an alleyway. It's like an alleyway that has like pubs and what have you. So we see the fight, and then there's a bar outside the hotel that has a wall of fame. So like each artist and band that like famous artist and band that's played at this pub has their name on a brick, and it went all the way up. So me and my dad are standing side by side reading all these bricks, all the famous artists that have played at this pub. And this woman and her friends walk by, and she looks at me and says, "Why are you looking all the way up there when me vagina's down here?" And I was like, "Excuse me?"
That is quite forward.
Very forward. Quite the proposition. And her friends were just like, "All right, Rebecca, like, let's keep it moving." Like she had a lot to drink. But I honestly respected the compliment. It was a nice compliment.
She's a shooter.
Yeah, she's probably a volume shooter, I don't know. I don't know that she's draining many threes.
We're not getting into percentages. I like the aggressiveness, and I like the thought that says, I will take the last shot for the team here. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Give old Becky the rock, because she's pulling up.
Yeah, she's
taking her shot.
She's running fucking ISO. And it is you and her. There's a minute left on the clock, but she still ain't giving this ball up to anybody. This is her ball. If she has to, she will fucking, she will just bounce that bitch off the backboard and keep giving it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think she's trying that like 10 times every day and recording the stats back home and then trying out new phrases the next month. Like, me vagina's down here, that was good enough for like an 8% hit rate.
No, that's what she's doing, is she's workshopping lines for her Hinge account. I just got introduced to Hinge through a couple guys that I work with that are on Hinge, and these two couldn't be more different from top to bottom. We can start with age, we can start with looks, we can start with personality, we can start wherever you want to start. And both of these guys are on Hinge. And I looked at one buddy and I go, I'm just going to throw this out here, and I don't want you to take it personally, but it seems that you two are fishing in the same pond. And all I'm saying is I feel like he's more equipped. I feel like he brought all the right tackle to fish in this pond. And you're out there with a fucking a Mickey Mouse rod and reel that has no weight. You have no line. You're using the wrong hook. I don't even know if you got a worm on your hook, to be honest. And it's just remarkable because he's saying, look, I'm gonna take my chances. I don't know if that's what that's called, but I respect the hell out of it.
Yeah,
It's been quite entertaining.
Tell him to come over to Liverpool. I mean, you get to fish with a fucking stick of dynamite in a pool tarp. It's it's not that hard.
He's probably like when I think about it, he's probably like a Liverpool 8.5.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Santa Monica 4, but a Liverpool 8.5.
Yeah. Yeah. There's Jay Hay was like, asking me about Liverpool, and I was like, I think if I could describe it in a word, the word I would use is worn. Like it's just
weathered.
Yeah, like it's
Wow.
like Liverpool, you can tell like it had its day. Like I'm sure like Liverpool in the 60s was a hopping time. But you look at it now and it's like, man, this city has seen some shit,
I think Austin Powers absolutely ruined my perception of what I want that place to be like fucking, London and all that. But in my head,
London was cool.
Yeah. In my head though, like London and Liverpool, and like the sun doesn't shine there. It's just gray all day. And it doesn't get any warmer than, like you said, like 64. So it's like, it just feels like it's a different world that never sees sunlight or jovialness. But I'm absolutely wrong. That's just what it feels like.
Yeah. As we go see all these like different sites, like this is where John grew up. This is where Ringo was born. You're like, it kind of still looks like it did at the time, like it's like not a lot has really changed over here.
But that's cool. So. I enjoyed that.
I like that too.
Yeah. Like I'm a big, Meg and I, my wife and I, she takes me like in the off season, we go cruise ghost towns, go look for old random abandoned mining towns and shit like that. And obviously that stuff looks the same today as it did back then, but just like being dropped into like in towns,
time capsule.
Yeah. Like give me a town that doesn't know that it's not 1985 anymore. Like that's how I feel about a lot of places in the South too.
Yeah. Like Gary, Indiana.
Well, I think we're straying. I think we're straying here from the core point, which is that it's a vacation spot for you, right? So, or it's a tourist destination for you. So that it's memorialized in a way from the era that you're there for is cool.
Yeah.
Gary, Indiana is most definitely not a tourist spot.
No.
Just that it's memorialized in the, in the Rust Belt era is not necessarily
a good thing.
A good thing.
No. Not something we're celebrating.
Shout out Gary.
Shout out to Gary, Indiana.
Got some roots.
Yeah, Gary, Liverpool,
It's kind of the same thing. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
There are parallels for sure.
But speaking of shooting your shot, you got to download the Underdog Fantasy app, brother. Because Underdog just dropped their playoff basketball promo. With the extender, you can play your way to increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs. Start a playoff series by using your game one boost and continue boosting each subsequent game to unlock the next one. The longer the series, the bigger the boost. You're going to want to see how serious it gets when that game 7 hits. Hop on Underdog, the best place to make picks during playoff basketball. And get started right now. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared, that's Jared, to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. Yeah. Celtics won last night, Jake. I know you can't hear Jake, but I can. Celtics are moving on, Jake. Celtics are going to the second round. Look at that. It was a gentleman's sweep, yeah? Couple of the blokes.
Easy.
Are they the heavy favorite or no?
Who are the Celts?
The Thunder. Give me a fucking break, dude. Who's on the Thunder? Gary Payton. Who's on the Thunder, Dallas? You know.
Nope. Don't know.
Jay Hay?
Joker.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I know who's on the Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the likely or probable or possible MVP of the season.
Who?
Yeah.
Shea
Trust me,
Gilgeous
Jared.
Alexander.
Okay,
Jared,
so like
that
everyone
guy's
wants
name,
to say
that
that
guy's name popped up.
Chet
MLB
Holmgren,
has a marketing problem and like,
Isaiah
no one cares
Hartenstein,
about
Jalen
baseball
Williams,
anymore and yada yada.
Lou Dort.
The
Alex
MVP
Caruso.
of NBA, I've never heard of that person before.
Well,
That's
he
the
hasn't
first
won-
time I've ever
He
heard
hasn't
that
won it yet. Have you heard of Nikola Jokic?
Yes.
So Jokic, yes, but Jared, to your point, when I heard him referenced, I heard him referred to as, oh yeah, and SGA, and I was like, come again? Who I don't.
So like I already forgot
No
his name. Like it's not even like it. Like what's his name?
Shea
Gilgeous
Alexander.
Shea Gilgeous Alexander.
Yeah, like Shane Gillis, but Shane Gilgis.
Okay, and where did this person come from? Like I that's
Well,
crazy. Like
I mean,
an
he went to-
NBA
he went to-
MVP. Go ahead.
He played college ball at Kentucky.
Yeah.
He was the
So did
centerpiece.
Rondo, right?
He was the centerpiece player, along with a horde of draft picks in the trade that put Kawhi Leonard. The deal that
In
sent,
Toronto?
Paul George and Kawhi Leonard via signing and trading to the Clippers, and landed Shea with the Thunder. Obviously, Paul George was the one traded, but it was a package deal. But yeah, one of the great trades of all time from the Thunder side.
How old is Shane Gilgeous?
I would say 24, 25.
Oh, good for him.
Let's pull it
Good
up.
for him.
He is
much
26.
life.
He's 26.
How much life to live still, you know?
Oh yes. Yeah, he finished runner up in the MVP last season. So,
Mm.
it's not like this is some
It's not some
dickhead out of
slappy.
nowhere.
Yeah.
No, and he
No.
finished 5th the season before. So,
Oh yeah, come on, this young talent right here. I might need
Yeah.
an SGA jersey. Shit,
Yeah.
what have we been doing, Jared?
I don't know. I guess NBA's got a marketing problem, yeah?
That sounds like it to me.
Yeah, shit. I mean, congrats to him. I'm happy he had such a big season and that his basketball team is favored to win the NBA Finals.
Yeah,
I did want to talk about the New York Metropolitans because I don't know what kind of complex Mets fans have these days where they think that we don't talk about the Mets. We talk about the Mets all the fucking time. The Mets might be the only team that have their own thing on the soundboard right now.
It's not always about the money, Spider-Man. It's about the Mets, baby. Love the Mets. All right, baby. Let's go. Get a home run, baby. Love the Mets. Let's go, Mets.
Mets fans took great exception to the fact that I believe on the Monday podcast, after I think Dallas had to go somewhere, me and Jay Hay were talking about the Reds, and the Reds at the time had the best run differential in the National League. And boy, did Mets fans want you to know the second that wasn't true anymore. They were like, hey, asshole, who has the best run differential in the National League now? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Let me take a peek. I'm judging by your Pete Alonso profile picture. I'm going to guess it's the Mets. And yes, lo and behold, it is the New York Mets who still to this point have not lost double-digit games yet. In the 2025 Major League Baseball season. The only team to have not reached double-digit losses, have a plus 55 run differential. The New York Mets, by the way, this is some, how the kids say, this means something to me, man. This means Tyler does it all the time. This, and it'll be like the dumbest thing in the world. It'll be like fucking on this day 7 years ago, Dustin Pedroia turned a double play with fucking Steven Drew. This means something to me, man. Like he just does it over like the most basic shit. But something that actually means something to me. I love the first team to 20 wins, the first team to 30 wins. Like I actually do care. Like who is like winning the race, the first team to 100 wins, like that means something to me, man. And the New York Mets are, in fact, the first team to 20 wins this season.
they're the first team to 21 wins, Jared.
Correct. They
That's,
are.
not to be a Tommy Topper, but I look at the race a little differently, and they're the first one to 21 wins.
That's
That's
correct.
what means something to me right
Mhm.
there. To eclipse that 20 win mark, you get to 21. Now you've got my attention.
No doubt.
that's where the New York Mets are. What's great is the fashion in which they're doing it. It feels like it's a total team effort, and it's not just being vaulted by one area, right? You got the polar bear doing what he's doing. That's caught a lot of people's attention, and I think for good reason, because you're starting to think about the future and how the contract situation went before. We've kind of made light of the incredible offer that he made the Mets to land him back with the Mets to do what he's now doing. And the fact that obviously Juan Soto is a part of the party. But the pitching staff, I mean, it's a beautiful concert right now. If you're a Mets fan, it's a beautiful symphony. You've got the woodwinds, you've got the strings, you've got the percussions. Everybody's chiming in right now, and it's turning out to be a pretty good listen if you're a Mets fan.
I'm going to put you guys on the spot for a second. Low risk. It's not that big of a deal. What would you say the Mets odds to win the division are per Fangraphs.com? To win the division right now.
To win the NL East division.
Yeah. The one with the Phillies and the Braves. Yeah. What would you say are their odds?
For the Mets to win the division?
Yep.
37%.
Given their red hot start.
No. That's far too low. I'm going to say 54%.
Wow. Well, Jared was on it. As of today, it is 55 flat to win the division. It was 15% to start the season. So, to me, that number felt impressively high, just because I assumed it's very early in the season, and the Phillies haven't gotten off to a terrible start. They're only 4.5 back, but I think qualitatively, these guys need to be viewed as just as good as the rest of the division, if not more so, because I think if you had some concerns about the Phillies, or you had, obviously the Braves have been covered, but if you have some concerns about the Phillies, I think some of those concerns have been justified early on with the performance of some individual pieces and parts of the team. They're more likely to win the division than every other team in the division combined. What that's saying.
The reason I said what I say 34% or 37% or something like that. The reason I said that is because weren't we just talking about the fact that the Braves still had a better chance than the Phillies? Better chance. Yeah. So that's kind of where, again, just not having looked at it, I was thinking, well, do they have the Braves vaulted above,
So I think that what you're speaking to, and then I'll lay out for a sec for you guys, is that the Mets have eaten into the Phillies division equity. I don't think the Braves equity has changed much since the last time we talked about it, because they've basically tread water as it relates to their gap in the division. But the Phillies situation has changed, and it's basically all shifted over to the Mets side, which I do think is notable.
And who is so because wasn't it? So it's got to be. So it's the Mets Phillies, or it's the Mets Braves Phillies as far as making the playoffs is concerned too, right? Is that the order
Correct.
right now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of where my brain was with the lower percentage chance to win the division. Yeah. No, I think it's funny because it's almost like two players who are on the same team, rookie of the year candidates, kind of taking votes maybe away from each other, but it's the Mets success it's not necessarily the Braves having turned things around, knocking on the door of 500. It's the Mets just running away with the division right now.
Yeah. So I have a question to kind of piggyback off of what we're talking about with the Mets here. What were the Detroit Tigers' odds of winning the division coming into the season, and then what are they now? Let's guess first, and then have Jay Hay look that up. But I would say the Tigers' chances of winning the division coming into the season were 11%? 17? No. I'm going to say 14%.
I was going 15%.
Okay.
15% is my guess.
Chances entering today, I'm going to put it at...
They got to be the lead dog in the clubhouse.
27%.
to make the playoffs?
No,
No,
to win the division, brother.
Oh, to win the division? Still 20%?
Well, I mean, they're not like the Mets right now. They're not blowing the doors off everyone. It's a 1.5 game lead over Cleveland. I'm just kind of looking at the quality of the Cleveland Guardians and the Kansas City Royals to start the year, and it's not that great.
No. And
they only have a 1.5 game lead over Cleveland and a 3-game lead over Kansas City, 5-game lead over Minnesota.
I got the Tigers at well over a 50% chance to win this division.
That's fucking crazy. There's no way.
57% chance to win the division per Fangraphs right now.
There you go.
57% to win the division?
Jared. They fucking deal. Go check the boys on the bump, homie.
So here's a few things that are going on, I think. Fangraphs, remember, had the Twins as the most likely to win the division entering the season prior to the start of the year. It was a clumped together thing, but they had Twins, Royals, Tigers, Guardians. Okay. The Tigers are overwhelmingly the favorite now in the division. As I said, 57%. No other team even is at 18%. And the Guardians, who are the closest team to the Tigers in the division standings wise, are the team that the computers, the numbers, all of that sort of stuff has the least amount of confidence in outside of the White Sox.
Wow.
And that's been true since the start of the season. Now, most projection systems were down on the Guardians, particularly for a reigning division winner. So, yeah, the Tigers have increased. They were 26% to start the season, to answer the other question, and they are 57%. So they have more than doubled their odds to win the division equity. And I think, Dallas, last thing, Dallas and I talked about this after you hopped off yesterday. I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago, whatever it was.
2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago. But I think one of the other things that's going on is that, like, the Royals, who were, I think, viewed as like the sexy pick in the AL Central, so to speak, have like really critical offensive issues. And I said that last podcast, and the more I looked into it since then, the more confident I feel in that assertion that, the Tigers may just be better
all
in
around.
Every phase,
all
maybe.
Around.
And that's obviously challenging to overcome.
So basically, the Tigers percentage the Tigers percentage where I thought they were now is where they actually started from. So,
well, and the Tigers and Mets odds to win the divisions per Fangraphs are basically the same right now. So Tigers, Mets, both in that 55 to 57% range to win the division.
Dang.
That's
so
good.
That's
Are you looking at all the projections right now, Jay?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. Well, dude, do you want to let's just run through the other divisions real quickly.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Sounds fun.
NL Central.
East.
Okay, AL East. No. You're looking at them. So
AL East. You guys know the standings right now. It's Yankees 1.5 up on the Sox, 3.5 Rays, 4.5 Blue Jays, 6.5 Orioles. I
want to give a lot of love. I want to believe that this is close between the Red Sox and Yankees. The one thing that's giving me pause is that the only team worse at defense in baseball than my team, than the A's, is the Red Sox.
No, it's gotten better.
You guys are still shitty.
No, baseball is a game of trends, and the Red Sox are trending upwards defensively.
It's still shitty.
The other thing, too, about the Yankees is that, Ben Rice being a generational hitter is not sustainable, so I think they're going to cut that gap's going to close.
He sustained it for the first 30 games. First 30 games, he sustained it.
Yeah, no
doubt. So I want to say, I don't know that it's necessarily a coin flip. I think I probably got to give the edge to the Yankees here.
Why? Based on what?
What do you mean based on what?
They're not that good. They're not
based
that good
on their offense. Yeah. No, I think they're.
Oh wow, they beat up on Kyle Gibson. Congratulations.
I think they'll be all right. So I'm going to set the division.
Kyle Gibson is going to be texting me in 3 weeks asking how podcast equipment works.
51% to the Yankees. 51% to the Yankees. 49% to the Red Sox. You're such an asshole.
I'm just saying.
It is as of right now.
Did you guess, Jared, or do you know?
Did I what?
Did you guess or do you know?
No, I'm not looking at it. What chances to win the division between Red Sox and Yankees?
Yeah,
Yankees are probably 61%. Red Sox are probably like 38%.
It has the Yankees right now at 56.4% entering play on Wednesday. Red Sox at 27.3%.
That feels low.
That
feels
is
low.
Has quite a chasm.
So that's basically a 2-1 edge there. Per the numbers relative to prior to the start of the season, the Yankees have basically taken all of the division equity that has been lost by the Rays, Blue Jays, and Orioles, and the Red Sox have more or less maintained the status quo. They were 24%, I believe, to win the division prior to the start of the year, and they are 27.3 now. So Orioles, obviously, the massive loser here. They've gone from 16-6 to 2.7% entering play today. So
to win the division.
Correct. And they're only at 14% to make the playoffs, which I think is actually more depressing.
They're bad.
So,
they're bad, Jay. I don't know if you sit through many Baltimore Orioles games, but they're you sit around being like, man, this team, what happened?
They can't
Orioles
pitch.
fans have a right to be very upset.
So disappointed given what they were sold, what the hype was. And it's
the fact that they were sold. That was part of it. That they were sold, not that they sold. The fact that the fucking team was sold. This was what was supposed to happen.
No doubt.
Right? You sign all these kids, you extend them, they're studs. We got new ownership. We're bringing in guys like.
And that guy, he's got time, but he hasn't done shit.
Well, fuck, clock's ticking, pal.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. This is gonna go down as one of the great
fumbles
/ talent waste /
malpractice
overhyped prospect waves or groups of generational talent. Like it can go, you can describe it in a lot of different ways. Like, cause right now the hater in me wants to say that these guys are just straight up not nearly good. As good as we were told that they were outside of Gunnar, who I believe is an MVP candidate moving forward.
And Jay, hey, there's no other explanation. There's no other route you can take. There's no fluff. There's no cover. There's nothing you can apply to this situation right now that will ever redeem itself if there isn't moves made and if there is not a concerted effort to make this club better. And I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about you got to go sign these guys and that'll be better.
They're still giving the ball to Charlie Morton.
I know that's the problem, man.
I know.
But what the numbers are saying is that the real window to do a move like that may have already come and gone for this season. Like this season may already be a wash. It may only be about, honestly, I'm not saying it is for sure. Like they can get back in the wild card mix. I don't think they will, but they can. But 14% at this point, you're well below the Blue Jays. Well below the Blue Jays. You're below every team in the AL Central that's not the White Sox. You're below the A's and obviously every other team, non-Angels in that division. Like you are behind almost most of the teams. And frankly, like the rotation needs so much work that I don't even know. It maybe you can start to address the fix in season, but it's going to have to be an in-season and off-season thing. And you got to hope between now and then that the guys that were supposed to be good on offense actually take that next step so that you can go into 2026 and feel like this isn't already a waste and that we have a reason to invest on the pitching side.
Well, and it feels like what they need to do is they need to come to Jesus for just a quick minute and realize some of these guys that we have been, I don't want to say guarding, but some of these guys that we've been kind of telling teams like, no, we're going to wait that out. No, we're going to wait that out. It might be time to quit waiting that out. It might be time to start moving some of these guys because it feels like you sort of rested on the laurels of these players being highly touted and just kind of let that narrative carry you through without ever doing anything, without ever extending anybody. And again, I'm not telling you that extending any one of these 3 or 4 core pieces was going to turn them into a player that they're currently not. That's not what I'm saying. But from an Oriole fan perspective, you haven't done that. Okay. Now maybe that's helped you because you're not fully committed to guys who haven't turned the corner productivity wise, but you also aren't pursuing anything to help us in the interim. So what does that really say? We're not locking anybody up for the future. We're not bringing anybody in for the future. We were told that a shift in ownership was going to lead to these things. That isn't happening. We are last in the division. We have teams that are last in other divisions that are laughing at us because they have a better chance to get to the postseason than we do. And we've got a fucking locker room full of would-be all-stars. What is going on in Baltimore?
My hot take that I've been working on for a little bit now is, and I know he's hurt, but Colton Cowser is the best Orioles farmhand outside of Gunnar Henderson. When it's all said and done, we'll look back and power rank Colton Cowser as the number 2 out of that group.
Well,
they better hope not. No offense. Seriously, no offense.
Yeah. It's bad, man.
I'm really trying to be funny.
I would be furious if I was an Orioles fan. I would feel abandoned and lied to. Yeah. I would feel lied to.
All of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think it's fine to feel that way. I don't think it's overstated. Like if this is really the culmination of that.
Yeah. There's that piece of it, but then also at the same time, we are talking about in this window a 100 win team and that got swept in the playoffs. So I think, most of the blame when we look back on it will fall on ownership and the lack of aggressive moves being made. But there was a 100 win season in there where no noise was made in the postseason whatsoever. I think if that 100 win Orioles team had made it to the ALCS and it went 6 or 7 games, then it's kind of even more egregious, the lack of spending and adding. Like I know that they traded for Corbin Burns, but it's like how many prospects has this organization just been sitting on where it's like, yeah, like we could have traded for a pitcher with a little bit more control, or we could and I get it too. Like in the Burns situation, that dude was hell bent on going back to Arizona. Like I don't know what amount of money it would have taken to keep Burns in Baltimore. I don't know how aggressive they were in trying to keep him there, so I don't even really go there. But there are other arms the Orioles could have targeted just from their prospects alone. If money was an issue, which it shouldn't be under new ownership. But yeah, I think the mass bulk of the blame will fall on ownership. But I kind of look at the players being like, man, you had a 100 win season in there and everyone kind of forgets about that. You guys got swept in the playoffs. There would be more urgency, or there should be more urgency from the fans, from everyone, if that team could have made a little bit of noise and been like, hey, we're ready. Like, we're early, but we're ready. Supplement this, please. Now it's just at the point where you're like, man, are we going backwards? I mean, I don't even think it's a question. Like, yes, you are going backwards. You are going backwards. You're going in the complete opposite direction that everyone thought that this Orioles organization was going in.
I mean, unfortunately, like it's also like a timing and just like the way baseball works too, because that 101 win team in a lot of ways, like was the most equipped to do damage in the postseason if they had like a real number one, you know what I mean? Maybe they would have been set up, but like also the team didn't necessarily anticipate that they would be as good as they were that season, because remember, they went from 52 to 83 to 101 wins. Like it happened really, really fast in a sense. So like and then to your point, they did supplement that team with Corbin Burns the following season, but then the other parts didn't necessarily hold up their end of the bargain.
No.
And then Burns is gone and you're like, okay, so it's like, it's kind of like a sliding doors moment sort of thing but like, I don't know. I'm very pessimistic on the near term at the very least.
Well, I was just going to say, if you're an Orioles fan, and I hate to say it like this, but waking up today, are you closer to the beginning of this rebuild that started years ago than you are to the championship end of the window that you were trying to create by going through what you went through, the whole tanking? And like that's a horrible thought to have, that your roster looks the way it does. You have the players that you have right now in the big leagues, and the idea that you could be closer to the beginning of this than you are to the end of where you thought you would be?
I mean, we can move on if you want, but like, if it really is that bad and you go into the off season, like at what point do you have to start having the really hard conversations, which is like, are we trading Adley Rushman, or are we like, he's a free agent after 27. So that's 26 and 27. If this is the wash year, you know, he shows what he shows this year, 2 more years of ARB, and then he's a free agent. So what is your move? How close are you? Are you the 5th best team in your own division? Have the Blue Jays passed you? Those are the conversations that might need to be had depending on how the rest of this season goes.
If I'm listening to this right now as an Orioles fan, I'm ready to fucking throw up.
It's so organic though. Everybody can attest, no plan to bash the Orioles.
No.
None at all.
In fact, we didn't even, the division thing, that was organic too.
That's organic.
To just run through, and now we just stumbled into bashing the Orioles. So, you know, sometimes it just happens. Should we move on to another division?
Yes,
well, I will say this before we move on really quick.
Yeah.
Orioles fans, when they listen to us talk about the Orioles and the situation that they're in,
they agree.
They're almost they agree, and B, they're thankful for bringing this conversation to the forefront so that other people can see, you know, how bad it is and what they're dealing with. Like, not so that they can get sympathy, but it's almost a plea for change. Like, hey, if they're talking about it on the national scale, that should be embarrassing for the folks that are making decisions within the walls of Camden Yards. So we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season goes, but it is certainly not promising looking based on the playoff odds. Jay?
AL Central, we already did. Obviously, the Tigers, 57%. Everybody else in the teens, or in the case of the White Sox, a flat 0.0. The AL West, obviously, Dallas's neck of the woods. Anybody have a guess for where things stand right now? The division, the Mariners have a 1-game lead over the Astros, a 1.5-game lead over the Rangers, a 2.5-game lead over the A's, and a 4.5-game lead over the Angels, who are the only team below 500 in the division.
A's only 2.5 out, baby. I love that.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. I feel like it's sort of a logjam though, because especially with like
it's tighter than the other two so far. Yep.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
I don't know.
Is there a team that has?
Well, the Rangers. The Rangers are turning shit around because their offense is starting to come to life slowly but surely. They're still pitching well. But the Mariners, having Logan Gilbert go down, like, you lose the big fella like that, and your offense looks the way it does. I have serious questions there about their sustainability.
Sure. Obviously, an imperfect way to capture that via the postseason odds, right? Like, it's reflected in the depth chart, but we can't know how long Logan Gilbert's gone, et cetera, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is to win the division. Like, part of me wants to go like 30-20-20. And I'm going to say that the Mariners still have the best shot, and I'll give it 32% to win the division.
Rocket.
I'm going to say that the Mariners and Astros have virtually the same odds. I'm going to say it's like 33% Seattle, 31% Houston, 17% Texas, 11% Oakland.
I mean, you guys are generally sniffing around the right areas. You're not quite as optimistic on Seattle as the computers still are, giving them a 45% chance to win the division. The Astros are at 28. The Rangers are at 21.6. The A's are at 4, and the Angels are at 0.6. So relative to the start of the season, the Astros are almost identical to how they started. The Rangers have lost a little ground, as you would expect, the Angels, and the A's are literally right at 4% still. So they have stayed the same in their 500 quest, and obviously the Mariners have gained some, about 9%. So not a ton of shifting going on. Basically, the Mariners have taken the Rangers' equity a little bit early on, but that's very, very fluid, as we've seen throughout the season, depending on when we're looking at this. NL East, we already did. Obviously, 54% for the Mets, 27 for the Braves, 18 for the Phillies, and then 0.1 for the Nats and 0.0 for the Fish. So nice little franchises there. Yep. I wonder when I'm going to start to get really nervous if I'm a Phillies person. That's for another podcast.
Big win last night, though.
Can't tear down. Right. Yeah. Big win. And also can't be tearing down too many franchises on the Eastern Seaboard on a Wednesday podcast. NL Central. Cubs currently have a 1.5 game lead over the Reds, who got front billing on a podcast. I hope everybody printed out that graphic and hung it in their room. All the Reds fans. Brewers 3 back, Cardinals 5.5. After that, promising very fast start for the Cardinals, the hometown Cards, and the Pirates, Dallas's Pirates, only 7 games back so far.
Wow.
Not bad. 11-19.
Still in it.
O'Neal swinging it.
Fighting.
How do we see the Central right now?
78% Cubs is where I'm at.
I was going to say 65% Cubs.
Okay. I have a quick follow-up for you guys. The Reds are a 1.5 games up on the Brewers. Who do you think has higher postseason odds there?
The Brewers.
All right.
Yeah, I would say the Brewers.
All right, that's correct. The division, as currently sees it, is overwhelmingly the Cubs to take, as we all would expect. They are currently at 62.6%. No other team is above 18%. The Brewers at 17.7%, Reds at 11.7%, Cardinals at 5.9%, and Pirates 2.1%. So you guys, your point that they're still alive is technically correct.
They're there. Heartbeat.
In terms of how that stands up against the start of the season, it is mostly the Cubs taking all of the division equity from the Brewers, Cardinals, and Pirates. The Reds is basically stable from where they were in the 11 to 12% range. So yeah, the Cards and the Pirates, really the Pirates, the big losers so far, losing about 10% or almost all of their division equity. And lastly, the NL West. Currently, the Dodgers are a game up on the Giants, a 1.5 games up on the Padres, 4.5 on the D-backs, and only 15.5 up on the Rockies. Remember when we were talking about other teams leading the NL West? That was so.
Are the clubbies for the Dodgers throwing bullpens yet? Because who's going to start? Who's going to start these fucking baseball games for the Dodgers right now?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
God. So the Jay, I'm guessing by your fucking song and dance that the numbers probably reflect that the computer doesn't give a shit who's starting these games either.
Nah, man. You want to start? You want to take a shot?
Yeah, I'm gonna get crazy here.
No, I'm saying, do you want to start? Do you want to start for the Dodgers?
It's like, I'll go first, I guess. Yeah, fuck, I'm in. I'm in. I will be the 2025 Brent Honeywell that they're looking for. I have no problem filling that role.
Dude, I think you are you've been hyping that role so much that I think this has actually been your long-term slow play plan, was to offer yourself for the role.
Just saying.
The slot role.
Did I throw an abbreviated bullpen yesterday in the outfield up against the wall? Yes, I did. Are things starting to look good? They are. Maybe not as good as the Dodgers division odds still. I'm going to throw because the Giants are behind them 1 game, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
But it's still, I feel like this is just going to be a laughable number. I'm doing it. 70%.
Dodgers playoff, or the Dodgers' chances to win the division, in my estimation, 67%.
79.2%.
Wow.
Their odds to win. Digest this for you. Their odds to win the division are 10 times higher than the next closest team. They're a game up. What is notable is that the Giants have basically doubled their division equity up to 7.7%. But yeah, it's 79, 7.7, 7.4, 5.6, and as you guessed it, 0.0.
What are their World Series odds, Jay?
19.3%.
Is anybody else even double digits? No.
No, although close, the Mets are 9.8 and the Yankees are 9.6. Braves still holding at 8.6. Mariners, Tigers, Red Sox and Phillies are the other teams at 5% or higher for the World Series. But yeah, no, they're more than double the next closest team, or about double the next closest team in World Series equity.
Did Fangraphs not see the Red Sox play last night, or how's that work?
I don't know, man. I mean, they've given them the 7th most World Series equity. How do you feel about that? You think that's shortened them?
Disrespected. Yeah, I feel disrespected. Yeah.
You think they have more World Series equity than the Tigers,
Yes.
the Mariners,
Yes.
the Braves,
Yes.
the Yankees,
No.
the Mets,
No.
No.
the Dodgers?
No.
All right, so you have him 4th. There you
That
go.
feels right.
Okay.
Yeah, anything lower than that is just blatant disrespect.
I mean, they've got him higher than the Phillies, the Cubs. Cubs still at 3.9%. That's pretty
I'd
low
even be
for-
fine with the Cubs. I mean, I guess prior to the Justin Steele injury, if they still had Justin Steele, I would be fine with the Cubs being ahead of the Red Sox.
Yeah. Well, that's what the numbers say. That's the new segment. That's what the numbers say.
The numbers. Wow.
Yeah, that was fun.
Thanks to
Nice little
the-
walkthrough.
Thanks to
Good
the
idea, Dal.
number.
Nice producer.
Odds and ends.
Oh, wow.
Odds and ends.
Yeah, big thanks to the numbers for making a little play today. Also, thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of Baseball is Dead. Let's talk numbers since we were talking numbers. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per person, which adds up fast. But with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, saving you big on cost and time. Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. With online therapy, you can get quality care at a price that makes sense and help you with anything from anxiety to everyday stress. Your mental health is worth it, and now it's within reach. I actually did not have a therapy session scheduled for when I was on this trip, which feels like a mistake. I think I'm probably I'm due for one when I get back.
You couldn't find a place where Paul's driver went and had like a 10-minute conversation with somebody that got him right. Like there's not that. They don't have that marked up somewhere.
No,
Oh.
no, I don't think
All right.
so. We did visit Ringo's birthplace this morning. It was cool. I don't know that he does online therapy though. Shout out to Ringo. Not enough respect. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient too. You can join a session with a click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/baseball, and that'll get you 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/baseball. And thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's podcast. We love the folks at BetterHelp. Always have. Stand up lads over there at BetterHelp. We talked
You
about
said
the
it, bro.
Dodgers. I'm sorry, what?
Nothing, bruv. Go ahead.
Oh. We talked about the dominance of the Dodgers last night. Or excuse me, just in general this season, the fact that they have a 90% chance to win the World Series. So last night they were kicking the shit out of the Marlins, and they had Kike Hernandez come in to pitch. It's so like usually if you see a position player on the mound in a baseball game, it's because that team is losing by a lot of runs.
Yeah.
I feel it's even more disrespectful when you bring in the position player to pitch because you're up so many runs,
Yep.
and you're just like, yeah, no, our relievers are fine. Like that, we don't really have anyone that needs to like get some work in. So, yeah, if Kike is gonna, not only is Kike gonna go out there, but he's gonna wear I don't know if you saw this, Dallas. He's wearing the concussion helmet. So when we were there, when Baseball is Dead was in Arizona, we were standing in the Dodgers clubhouse, and Kike was wearing that in the clubhouse. So you know that he like discovered it during spring training, and somewhere along the line was like, Doc, at some point we're going to be up by 15 runs. I want to pitch, and I'm going to wear this. And I mean, 30 games into the season, here he is, Kike on the mound in a blowout victory over the Miami Marlins, and he's wearing the concussion helmet on the mound. And not only that, but I don't know if you saw some of the shit he was mixing in up there. Like he wasn't just lobbing him over. He was trying to like cut it and curveballs and slider.
Buddy, I watched
sweepers.
Pareda, Johnny Pareda. We just got the shit kicked out of us last night. And who finished the ball game on our side? Our backup catcher, Johnny Pareda, who threw at one point, I believe he threw a 54-mile-an-hour pitch. You can call it whatever you want. And then right after that, fucking 90, boom, dotted down and away. And as soon as he did that, I was like, well, I'm jealous. That's this is why this sucks. Watching this for somebody like me is you watch a catcher go out there and just fucking dial up better shit than you ever thought about having on a big league mound. Very entertaining, but yes, it is absolutely the gentleman's bitch slap when when you are kicking the piss out of another team and you run out a position player. That is the ultimate, like, look, like
who
you said,
also isn't taking it seriously at all, and is still throwing curveballs in there for called strikes and dotting up whatever on the outside corner. Yeah, that's gonna be. But I don't know who was at the plate. Whoever it was, he was smiling. So at least he didn't feel the disrespect. And it's not that Kike is intentionally trying to disrespect anyone. It's just the idea that the concept of it is,
you take the disrespect as a whole. It like the moment is disrespectful. Like I don't feel it personally from that player, but I look at my teammates and we all look at each other like we're getting fucking put
mollywopped
right now. Like this is damn, you're getting big boyed. You are getting like hand on the forehead, swinging under the arms, trying to no, just stay right there. Yeah. You can't do anything. It sucks.
Still, probably the funniest. I'm not taking this moment seriously whatsoever. Moment for me, the Dallas Braden spring training at bat, where one of the many moments that got Bob Guerin fired. Who was it? Bob Guerin that told you not to swing?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So obviously, Dallas Braden, as someone who didn't respect Bob, wanted him fired. Went up there and just stood there like a statue with his arms straight out, and just didn't swing. Almost worked a walk.
Yeah, did you even Zambrano?
Did you? Because that at bat, you didn't even. Did you even come out of the box, or you just?
I didn't move. I stood just like this for 2 minutes, however long it took Zambrano to finally throw the third strike. I didn't move. And that's when I'll never forget, after like the second pitch, Aramis Ramirez playing third base realized this guy's not even fucking moving. Like he's not doing it. He just took his glove off and was uncontrollably laughing, uncontrollably. And that's what got Zambrano's attention early. And Z stepped off and was like, like he's just not happy. It's spring training, but Zambrano is still not fucking around. And he's fucking throwing 94. He's pissed and he can't find the fucking strike zone. And 3-0, I'm laughing. I'm like, this is fucking, I'm going to walk right now doing this. Yeah. But he eventually fucking punched me out. And on the third strike, I just looked back and was like, that was an incredible call. Thank you for the at bat. And then just walked away.
Thank you for the at bat. I've only seen the still image of it. So I know that the video exists somewhere if you
Oh, yeah,
have a
it has
still
to.
image from it.
Yes. The video would be great.
Because it's not so like the stance is obviously funny because it's not like it's an old timey stance. Like it's like it's how I would envision Ty Cobb's stance looked.
Well, I did exactly what Henry Rowan Gardner did when he stepped into the box. Like we remember Rookie of the Year, the movie Rookie of the Year. So when Rowan Gardner steps into the box, he steps into the far back corner of the batter's box, and then it's just like, and I just fucking sat there for 5 pitches.
Yeah, the funniest part about it is your facial expression. Like that's what would have pissed me off the most. It's just like you being deadpan, like dead serious. Like you didn't laugh, you didn't smile. This was not a joke to you. This is me. This is what I do.
This is my stance. Fuck, come in here if you want, Z.
Come in here if you want.
At your own peril.
How do we've like, there's got to be some sort of like archive that the A's have somewhere.
I'll ask today.
Yeah. Find that video. I need to see the full at bat. Do you have the picture on your phone?
I'll get it. I don't have it on my phone. No, but I'll find it. Yeah, I'll find it.
maybe I have it somewhere in our texts.
Oh man. It's a quality photo.
It's too good. It's too good to not share with the people. If I have it, it's got to be like you probably texted that to me in like 2018.
Yeah, it's a hot
suspense. Anyways, what's next, Jay? Hey,
just in like life or like talking.
Yeah, what do you want to talk
baseball?
about? Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
Did you guys see that Varsho catch?
Yeah,
I did see that.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean,
I prefer my catches where it's just like
clean.
You know, it's pure skill and athleticism and like timing and all that, as opposed to like kind of a fumbling kind of fall down. But that was kind of the best version of that kind of catch.
Yeah, that was kind of my sentiment. Not that he played it into that, but yeah, you know, took a stumble, took a fall, was still able to maintain concentration, track the baseball. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I think people appreciated that I said it was the most ridiculous catch, not that it was like the best catch, because I think the catch expectancy was like 90 something %, but I would love to know like what the expectancy was after he fucking fell, probably less than 1%. Making the catch after falling and having your back to home plate.
Yeah, much lower, one would think.
Yeah, that'll impact the odds.
I mean, yesterday, I guess the last thing I had was yesterday was kind of, I know there was, you know, Dallas is broadcasting games and you're in Liverpool, but like it was kind of crazy watching games for like the first hour or 90 minutes of yesterday's slate, because it felt like every single run scoring opportunity or like run scoring event was just a home run. Like I swear, like on every game that was going on, you just looked up and there was another fucking homer hit. I mean, obviously, Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers, Rangers, like all fucked around yesterday. Oh, DB, what was the DeGrom? Because you've now seen him twice, right? In basically a week and a half.
Yep.
Well,
so I
obviously this time was a lot more successful, but I was curious on your thoughts.
Very much so. And you're seeing him dip into the velocity pool when necessary. I believe he touched 100 last night, one time, but when he needed to, like he needed to step on the gas. I think Langoliers was on base, and then Bleday came and he was like, nope, fuck this, 98 up top, where, you know, we had seen the majority of his stuff was 96, 97. And I outlined, you know, the velocity drops. But then I also highlighted the fact that when it came to nut cutting time and it was time to make a pitch and he wanted to throw his pitch, You just simply were not going to get to it. It was 98 dotted up and away. Like, unless you know it's coming, you just really don't have a shot at it. The slider was tight, short. It had good depth to it when necessary. He just did the changeup, still hard, 88 to 90. And I don't know that that's going to be honestly don't know that's going to be a big deal. It's a weapon that he uses against the left-handers more than anything. But he looked really good, man. He looked polished. But it's DeGrom, right? I'm not going to tell you it was DeGrom-esque from years ago because it wasn't 100 every fucking time. It wasn't 99 every time. But what you see, and what I think could be really cool to think about, is him finding that happy medium between really taking ticks off to pace himself and saying, you know what, I don't have to pull completely off the gas pedal. I don't have to totally downshift. What I can do is I can cruise at my speed, and when I need to, I can start to ratchet it up. And he very well may get to a point where like his level of respect for the hitter might determine just how much of him you're going to get, right? And I don't know that that's a safe way to play it, but if you're Jacob deGrom, like, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you how to go about it. You got a pretty good feel for what you're doing out there, brother. And it was fun to watch. It was just from a competitor standpoint, from a fan standpoint, a fan of him. It was good to see him healthy and good to see him executing the way that you expect him to.
I wanted to bring up a topic that I feel like hasn't been really hammered home on this podcast, because we did a lot of it last year and it was almost celebratory. The Chicago White Sox were almost so bad that they were a recurring story on this podcast throughout the entire 2024 season. And this year, the Colorado Rockies are doing pretty much the exact same thing that the White Sox were doing last year. We barely have talked about it. Is it because it's too soon? Or like, are we not surprised? Or like, why are the Rockies not getting the same pomp and circumstance that the White Sox did last year? Because the Rockies have tied the major league record for the worst 29 game start to a season. They are 4-25 to start the year. So they are just as bad as the worst team of all time.
But I think there's been a level of dysfunctionality surrounding the White Sox for a period of time. That
same thing with the fucking Rockies.
I understand, but I think the level of dysfunctionality is just bigger. And I think the narrative surrounding, and I'm like starting at the top, right? They've had the same issues with their fans, calling for ownership and blah, 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 blah. I don't know that that's necessarily happened to the extent that you've seen in Chicago. I don't know that that's happened in Colorado, but we can go all the way back to the Rockies paying the Cardinals to take Nolan Arenado. Like shit like that, right? Is where you're like, well, we remember the fuckery with Nolan. And then we remember the Chris Bryant, like it just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like that narrative has been as loud around the Rockies as it has been with the White Sox, which is why the White Sox were squarely in the middle of your target. Does that make sense?
I think with your example of, I guess, the circus that has been the Chicago White Sox, there's been less of a circus as it pertains to the Rockies, but still
not, still question marks, man. Still absolutely yes. But I think
it's more so like, when we question the people that are making the decisions for the White Sox, like we know that there's not smart people making those decisions. We know that there's people that are checked out or not, have not adapted to the way that today's game is played, is like the way that a team is run in 2025. We know that those people are not in the right place. With the Rockies, it's gotta be getting up there in terms of the dysfunction and the gap between how they run their baseball team and how a winning organization runs their baseball team. Is it fair to say that, given that the Rockies were in the playoffs and I guess somewhat recently? Recently enough.
I'll say this, all right, because the White Sox were just in town, and I was talking to their folks, and I feel this way about Will Venable, the same way I felt about Mark Kotsay when he first took his job in Oakland, that it's probably the right guy in terms of his willingness to work through and mine through the minutia, his willingness to be a forward thinker, which showed its head when he started 3 openers against the Athletics in this last series because of the lefties that were stacked at the top of the lineup for the A's. So Will Venable said, you know what? Fuck it. Here's a lefty. We're going to see how this goes. Here's a lefty again. They started the same guy, Tyler Gilbert for the White Sox, started 2 games back-to-back. First time that's happened in 50 years. And Will said, you know what? Trifecta. We'll run another lefty out there the 3rd day. So, and with Chris Getz, I think that they're starting to try to get together and get people in place so that they can head in that right direction. For the Colorado Rockies, what'd they do? They just fired Hensley Mullins, right? They just lifted their hitting coach and plugged in Clint Hurdle. And I don't know if that's I'm not telling you that Clint Hurdle will be the hitting coach for the next 5 years. I think that's probably more of an opportunity for Clint Hurdle to be in the rooms with and to be in the dugout with some folks that they may fancy as potential leaders in the future. Now, what does that mean for Bud Black? Well, I don't know. But I don't know if Bud Black is there at the end of the year. I don't know if Bud Black is there when the All-Star break comes around.
To me, to go back to Jared's original question, like why did the White Sox receive what feels like more attention than what the Rockies are receiving right now? I think a couple of reasons I would throw at you. I think it's the shape of the White Sox start featured losing streaks that were long enough to garner the attention of like the American sporting public, right? Like they had a 14-game losing streak really early on in the season as part of the 3-22 start, right? So they had like that long losing streak to latch onto. And I do feel like it took a little bit longer than we're remembering right now for like everybody to start piling on the White Sox. But like they lost 21 straight games at one point and the Rockies have owned like, it's only 29 games. They've only lost 8 in a row is their longest win streak so far. So like they've been fortunate. Yeah. They've been fortunate enough in a sense to like every 6 to 8 games of losing, they break it up with a win so that like they're almost, I feel like, flying under the radar in a sense. And then I think the other one is more big picture, which is that like the White Sox were like almost in a, not quite to the Orioles level, but on a very hyped level, there was a wave of young talent that was supposed to lead the White Sox to a half-decade run atop the division, right? Like, oh, the Guardians are going to be thrown aside. The Tigers and Royals hadn't come yet. It was the White Sox era led by all of the people that we don't need to rehash right now. And I think that never happening and that deteriorating as quickly as it did fed into like what the fuck is going on here and like what went wrong and why the level of dysfunction that Dallas was talking about. For the Rockies, like there is a long-term level of dysfunction that goes on, but I'm not going to speak for Rockies fans because I'm not one. But from my perspective, it certainly feels like it's just inertia. It's just malaise now. It's just like, this is what the Rockies franchise is. This is how they operate. There is no real level of hope in anything other than the longest term window where any sporting fan could generate some hope if they're inclined to, right? Like
because eventually things are supposed to turn around.
Correct.
Right?
Like it's every 10, 12 years, you're supposed to be decent eventually. Right. And like to Jared's point, they last made the playoffs in 2018. So like if we put this one in the books, put that one in the books, it's going to be 7 seasons. But like you look up and down the roster and you're like, well, this isn't even fucking close. Like, this isn't anywhere close to happening. This isn't a burgeoning young talent base. They have young players, some of whom don't suck. But like most of the players here are, relative to other Major League Baseball players, no good. And like even the guys, what's depressing about the Rockies situation that's unique to them is that even the people that you can get yourself excited about from a pitching prospect perspective, ultimately you're reminded that they pitch for the Rockies and they do some of their pitching at Coors Field. And you're like, well, like Chase Dolander is, you know, in a vacuum, one of the 6, 8 best pitching prospects in Major League Baseball per every available source that does those rankings. And he comes up and it's like, oh, we get to see our best pitching prospect. Like, fuck yeah, our hope, our savior. And it's like, shit, he's got a 7.91 ERA and he's allowed 8 homers and 26 hits in 19 and a third innings
pitched. It's because he's pitching on the fucking moon, Jay. Hey?
Okay, man, but that is the point. That's exactly the point. Is it's like this guy who was on all the prospect lists, and it's like, this is our best pitching hope since whoever you want to name, Jeff Francis, Herman Marquez, who is still around, like whoever the name is that you want to, Ubaldo, whoever you want to name, like he's immediately getting his shit kicked. Like 8 homers, that leads the league. He's made 4 starts. It's like, I don't know. Like I think, lastly, if they reel off a 20-game losing streak or multiple 14-game losing streaks like we did with the White Sox last year, I actually do think that level of attention will be paid to them. And I think they have a real shot at being, like, I know most people have been like, oh, they're not White Sox bad. It's like, are we sure?
Yeah.
Are we sure about that? And because we haven't talked about them on the pod. I've been tweeting about these guys basically every other day because I love this shit. And they are just, it's real bad. It's real bad. It was like them and the White Sox early on. The Rockies were like, peace. We got work to do this season. And that work is 38 wins.
I think we will, maybe not 20 plus games, but I think we will see a losing streak that exceeds their 8-gamer as a season high.
Hey, Discourse.
Who's the best player on this team? Who is the best player on this team? Tovar's out. Can't say him. Who's the best player on this team?
Why can't you say Tovar? Why can't you say Tovar?
He's not playing right now.
But that doesn't mean he's not the best player on the team.
Okay, so Ezekiel, you feel so passionately that Ezekiel Tovar is the best player on the team that you're going to argue with me about whether he can be chosen. That says it all, really, right? That there's no.
Is there anyone on the team that has
Brenton
a better
Doyle?
than like a 0.4 WAR?
No, that's who I was gonna drop a Brenton Doyle.
You were going to drop a Brenton Doyle on me. Sure.
Yeah, I could give you.
Sure.
Will anybody take a Nick Martini? Former A.
I mean, I'll take a martini. I hold the Nick.
Oh, look at you, Jay. Hey. No, come on, it's Kyle Freeland.
Okay. I mean, yeah, so far this season, that's the answer. You got a 5.93 ERA, man.
God.
He's the best player if you sort by WAR.
I don't
He's
want to play
also
this
got
game
a
anymore.
6 ERA.
I don't want to play this game.
Oh. Herman Marquez has a fucking 10 ERA and 6.
Well, he should have had a 10. There were fucking 9,300 base runners in his first fucking 3 games.
God.
Dude, let's put Ryan Feltner aside for a second.
Okay.
Just because it's not as crazy. The 3 of the 4 guys who have thrown 25 or more innings pitched are Freeland, Senzatella, and Marquez. It's just unsightly. Like, we've talked about Senzatella having, like, you know, more base runners. His ERA is 5.22, and it's like he's gotten lucky.
That's what I meant. Senzatella, not Marquez. That was a guy that just every time you look up, there was at any given time, there's 5 guys on base.
Dude, Marquez's ERA is almost double Senzatella's.
If you look at their rotation, Senzatella has allowed the most hits in the league. Marquez has allowed the most earned runs in the league, and Dollander has allowed the most home runs in the league. Like, they just are all, and then that's not including Freeland, who's got a 6 ERA, and Feltner, who's got like a 4.25.
Like,
Man.
where's the hope? That's so depressing.
That is tough.
Not like
I
they're
love Kyle
not
Freeland,
they
though.
don't even mash like back in the day either. Not like they've got like Galarraga and like a fake
No.
good Dante Bichette and Ellis Burks and all the rest of them.
Jordan Beck doesn't do
Larry
it for you.
Walker, Jordan Beck. I mean, credit to Jordan Beck. He's got a 642 slugging percentage and 62 plate appearances. So he's doing his part. A little
Mhm.
pop and a little speed, 5 and 4. Maybe Jordan Beck is the answer, Dallas.
That probably is my answer.
He's probably the best player.
Jordan Beckett is.
I mean, it's always really hard to decide when you're between Jordan Beck and Hunter Goodman and Brenton Doyle. I think I'd rather have John Goodman.
Mm.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, I mean, there's only as far as position players go, Hunter Goodman, Jordan Beck, Nick Martini, and Brenton Doyle are the only players with a positive wins above replacement.
There
on
you
the
go.
team.
Martini's my guy.
Wait,
Shout him out, dude. Shout him
Did
out.
we rest in peace, John Goodman? You did say rest in
You know,
peace. Zach.
yeah, I did. And you know, it's
Still
John
living.
Candy. Yeah, it's John Candy. John.
Oh, yes. Yeah, John
Did you
Candy
rest in
died
peace,
about-
John Goodman?
John Candy died like 40 years ago. Yep.
may
Yeah,
have-
John Candy's been gone for a minute, brother.
Yeah, I know. That's stand up. That's on.
No laughing.
John Goodman's still with us, still making films.
Well, that's good to
Yeah.
see. Good. I
Happy
got
for
to
him.
get out of here. I got to get.
Yeah,
to the
Dallas
ballpark.
has got to go.
Good note to end on. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to go.
Love
It's
you,
been
John.
real. We'll be back tomorrow for Family Feud and more Baseball's Dead. We love you guys. See you then.
Have a good shoot today.
Will do. Well, yeah. Rangers fans, keep your eyes peeled. We're jumping into the Slab Lab.
Ooh.
Dallas is gone. I don't know. I didn't. If if you had Nugs,
I got
I didn't-
nugs.
yeah. Let's get. If Dallas got to go, let's get him out of here. I know you probably
Yeah.
you always put great time into your Nugs. I don't want to just get out of here without some Nugs.
That's thoughtful of you. I appreciate it. Hopefully these live up to it. Dodgers, first time having 6 or more doubles, 2 or more homers, and 4 or more stolen bases in a single game in franchise history. Congratulations to them. I'm disappointed that Dallas wasn't around for this one. I wrote this nugget especially for him. Noah Murdoch last night, unfortunately, allowed 7 runs with 0 outs recorded. That's a tough one. It's the second time since the start of September of last year that an A's pitcher has allowed 7 or more runs without recording an out. Jansen Junk did that last year as well. It had only happened 3 times in franchise history prior to September of 2024. That was by Lefty Russell in 1912, Bill Don't Call Me Freddie Krueger in 1984, and Blake Stein in 1998, excuse me. P. Crow Armstrong, first player in Cubs history. He has now played 30 games in franchise history to rack up at least 6 homers, 12 stolen bases, 20 runs, and 20 RBI through his first 30 games of a season. Last night was the first time that 3 teams had scored exactly 15 runs on the same day since July 31st, 2006. So if you like random ass shit, you saw something special last night. CJ Abrams last night was the first Nationals player with 4 hits, including at least 1 double and a triple since Trey Turner on June 30th, 2021. And he's the youngest player to do so since Turner did so back in 2017. And lastly, last night was the 3rd time in MLB history. So you saw this with your own eyes. It was the 3rd time in MLB history that multiple pitchers allowed 5 or more homers on the same day. Kyle Gibson did it, and Bowden Francis did it against the Red Sox. That had not happened since August 12th, 2011, when CC Sabathia and Carlos Zambrano did it. The only other time in Major League Baseball history that's happened was September 21st, 1996. Jeff D'Amico and someone named Dave Telgetter. And those are the Nugs.
Shout out to David Telgetter.
Yeah, that was one I had admittedly never heard of.
Yeah. Couple Zambrano mentions on today's pod.
Yeah. He's a good one. Nice little
Yeah.
throwback player. Kind of gets
Yeah.
lost in the shuffle these days.
Would you say Hall of very good?
Yeah, I think off the top of my head, I think depending on how
Top War
big,
Games.
37.
I'm gonna say
Pulled up.
28.7. 28.7 is my guess.
The answer
38.3.
Oh, nailed it. So he's another guy who stops right on the doorsteps of history. Kind of
Yeah.
a puzzling decision. Would love to have him on. Jake book Carlos Zambrano.
Yes, please.
Talk about the Baines meter.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say 38.3 is, depending on the length of your career, I guess, is definitely Hall of Very Good. And I think Zambrano's peak is more than worthy of that distinction. I mean, he was 3 top 5 Cy Young finishes,
It's pretty good.
all bunched together. 2003 to 2008 was a legitimately impressive run. 2009, 2010, even if you want to be generous on innings, I think that qualifies. Pro Zambrano in the Hall of Very Good.
He's one of those guys that was a very prominent figure in baseball during our, I guess, youthful years.
Yep.
And just disappeared. Like, when's the last time you heard from Carlos Zambrano? Like, he's not doing podcasts. Like, he's not.
No.
I don't think he has social media. Like, where is Carlos Zambrano right now?
I admire those types. Not that,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I have a microphone right now, so I'm being a little hypocritical, but in terms of former players, like there is something when players remain shrouded in mystery, I feel like.
Tim Lincecum.
Yeah. In a totally different way than Carlos Zambrano, the exact same sort of thing that we're talking about. You don't hear from Tim. You're assuming he's doing the type of things that stereotypically you would assume Tim Lincecum likes to do, and kind of off on his own path and all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure that's what's happening. And Zambrano in his own way, like same deal. They both, Zambrano made, God, how much did he make? Per baseball ref, at least he made 113, almost 114 million dollars in his career.
Yeah, he's good.
You could just ride that out, just have a good time.
Yeah. Lincecum probably made about the same. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like other guys that just rode off into the sunset. If it weren't for us, Brian Wilson would be on that list. Like Brian Wilson retired, popped back up to do a few episodes of Starting Nine, and then went right back to the abyss. No, I want to see it. We haven't seen or heard from him since.
I mean, I don't know why he came to me. Chris Carpenter. You ever hear from Chris Carpenter anymore?
No.
He's a big game pitcher. Cy Young contender.
Yeah.
Cy Young winner.
Yeah.
Right? Or did he get was that second place one all he got?
What year are we talking
No,
about?
he won the Cy Young. Yeah. He won in 2005 and then finished third place in 2006. Yeah. Chris Carpenter was a dude. For those of you who are too young to remember Chris Carpenter's prime, which is probably a lot of listeners, actually.
Do you think so?
I mean, his prime was 2005 to 2011.
I feel like, I don't know. I'd be curious to see what the average age of a Baseball's Dead listener is. Like, I would say early 30s.
Yeah. Yeah, but so I agree. Even that is, I think, pushing when somebody would really remember Chris Carpenter.
So if you are 31,
yep,
then you were in 5th grade basically for the peak of Chris Carpenter's career.
And that's borderline. I feel like.
Yeah.
Real borderline, because I don't have, most of my baseball memories are not from 5th grade.
No, same. No. I guess you're right.
I mean, I'm sure there's like images, he was in the postseason a lot. So anybody who was watching postseason baseball or taking it in on a national scale obviously remembers him, or in the St. Louis area, because that entire prime was with St. Louis. But yeah.
What do you think Livan Hernandez is up to these days?
Just kind of, being a Hernandez.
Yeah.
Probably hanging out with El Duque.
Yeah. El Duque had his moment in the sun for sure.
Yeah, I was watching the Captain documentary the other day on Yes. My spouse is a Yankees fan, so sometimes that's
Is that about
happening.
Carlos Narvaez or no?
No, it was about this shortstop who played for the Yankees, Derek Jeter. Yeah, just some accumulator, I think.
Mhm. Compiler.
Compiler. And seeing El Duque come out against Cleveland at the time, or just in general, kind of gave me flashbacks. And then I thought about Livan, which is obviously even more painful from my perspective. Yeah, I respect what they do, but was never fans of Livan and El Duque.
I suppose that makes sense.
I mean, Livan, you go pull up Livan's page. Like, very few people pitched that long while being really not very good.
Yeah. Octavio Dotel.
Rest in peace.
Was he in that thing?
I thought so.
No, it's a different Octavio. Or it's a different.
No,
it was Dotel?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, fuck, man. Rest in peace. Was Dotel, who was the one that pitched on like 17 different big league teams? Was that Dotel?
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Yep. Rockies, Braves, Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Royals, Cardinals, Blue Jays, Pirates, A's, Tigers, White Sox, Astros.
So how many is that in total? 14?
13. Yeah.
It's like him and like Oliver Perez.
Yeah, somebody just joined this list, and I'm now blanking in the moment. I'm blanking on the name, but it was like a couple of years ago, or last year even. Somebody, I really am going to need to figure out who this is now.
Edwin Jackson.
Yeah.
Octavio Dotel played for 13 teams. Rich Hill played for 13 teams. Roosevelt Davis played for 13 teams in between 1924 and 1945. I didn't even know you could do that. And then Edwin Jackson played for the MLB record 14 teams. No one else has played for 14 or more teams besides Edwin Jackson. Yeah. Bruce Chen, friend of the pod, played for 11 teams.
We love Bruce Chen. I mean, some of us more than others, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it's more of like a respect thing. Like you and I respect Bruce Chen way more than Dallas does.
Yep. There's no question.
Mm-hmm. Kenny Lofton's on this list. 11 teams.
Great career. Hall of Famer. Should be.
Yeah. Fernando Rodney, 11 teams. Julian Tavares was on 11 teams. That's kind of crazy. LaTroy Hawkins, I knew that. Bartolo Colon, that one makes sense. I thought Bartolo Colon would have been higher up in this list. He also played for 11 teams.
Hall of very good.
Definitely Hall of very good. Yeah. He was just in the Barstool office, I think, yesterday, and he looks great. He looks like he's in tremendous shape.
Wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah, he does not look robust at all.
Kind of weird. I'm not sure. Honestly not sure I really want to see that.
Yeah. I took one look at him. I was like, not my Bartolo Colon.
No. Not for me.
No, pass. I'm gonna pass on this.
I prefer my colognes fat.
Yeah, me too.
Fat and throwing nothing but fastballs.
Mm-hmm. All right.
When's your trip wrap up? It's got to be coming to a close here. 3 or 4 more days, 4 or 5, 5 or 6, 6 or 7.
I've got at least 9 more days, I think.
Oh man. Ooh,
yeah. I'm trying to establish
still 9 left a week later. That is brutal.
Trying to establish a citizenship. What's the R word I'm looking for?
Residency?
Yeah.
Maybe. I think.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
I'm working on it. Yeah, it's
just grow
it's
the brand. Grow the brand. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's big picture thinking.
You know what's gonna suck is on Saturday. On Saturday, we fly, I think it's like an hour and 20 minutes to Amsterdam. have like a 1 hour layover. And then from Amsterdam to Boston, it's like 7 hours and 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to get home at like 6 p.m., but it's going to feel like 11 p.m.
Mm.
It's,
Well, I mean,
Saturday
can't
is going to be the worst day of my life, probably.
Can't you just go to bed right when you get home?
No, because after a day of traveling like that, I'm going to be starving. I'm going to
That's
want to
true.
pet my
Gonna wanna
dog. I haven't seen Ace, my guy Ace.
Yeah, you got to pet the dog. Make sure he remembers who you are.
Yeah. I got to be like, hey, dad's home. Like, you're
That's
not
right.
the alpha anymore. He's
Yeah,
probably on like an alpha power trip right now with me out of the house for this long.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll be interesting. You should get the confrontation on camera.
Confrontation. I think he's going to be pumped.
Well, not if he's carved out a role for himself as the male of the house.
That's true. Since I've been gone, he started humping. So
Yeah,
he's
you got a
probably
problem.
thinking, you've got a problem. Yeah.
That ain't your house anymore.
No. Yeah, I'm going to come back and it's going to be like, you ever see the movie Pearl Harbor?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be like when Ben Affleck comes back and they all thought he was dead and his best friend is now in a relationship with his girlfriend. And it's like, well, I actually didn't die. Turns out I am alive and you are not the guy anymore. Now, we're going to have to fight over the house.
Yeah. I remember when I saw Castaway for the first time and, he finally makes it back and, Helen Hunt is married another man or whatever and, started a new life. That's tough. You make
tough.
it all the way back from a desert island.
Mm.
But also, can you blame her?
That would be a very difficult decision to be in, not knowing for sure if your spouse is dead. It's like, do I move on? Is there a chance that they show back up? This could be awkward. I remarry, they come back, and it's like, what do you do? That would suck.
Well, also when, in the Odyssey or whatever, she remains faithful to him the entire time per the book. At least that's, I believe, how you're supposed to read it. That also seems totally unrealistic too, right? That, he's gone for decades.
Decades is crazy.
Or 10 years. Maybe that's what it was. I'd have to reread the book like again.
How long would I stay faithful when I was under the impression my significant other was dead? 3 years? 3 to 5 years? 3 years. 3 years is probably the best I could do.
I'd probably just go into like the ministry, probably just become celibate.
Yeah.
Become a monk. Maybe like a stats-based monk.
Hmm. Yeah, that'd be a tough position to be in.
A stats monk or the because it would be really hard because my lower back is not really suited for that sort of sitting. My core strength is abysmal.
One sneeze and you're on the monk injured list.
Yeah. We've old time podcast listeners will remember the Mist podcast or the podcast I did, completely horizontal. Good times.
Some would say the best times.
Yeah, I mean the past is always yeah. I think it's better now.
I think things are great right now. Yeah,
Pod's better now for sure.
Pod's better now. Life is better now.
Yeah,
a lot of things are better now. Yeah. And things will be better for our listeners tomorrow.
Major League Baseball, by the way, also better.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there really was no Shohei, there was no Judge in this sense. I mean, I know those players existed, but the athleticism, the skill, all that sort of stuff that's on display these days is sports in a great place.
The Red Sox are not better now.
But probably not specifically than to what we're talking about now. But they could be. This could still be a big season for them.
Well, it's coming. This wave that you predicted once Roman Anthony gets here and Marcelo Meyer, Red Sox are going to be good for a long time. And that's good for me.
It's good for you, and what's good for you is good for me. So rising tide lifts all boats, and I want the Red Sox to be good. Let's go Sox.
Let's go, Sock. What a way to end it, Jay. What a way to end it. All right. We will be back tomorrow, Thursday, for the final Baseball is Dead of the week, the final episode before I return home as a triumphant hero to the United States. People will be waiting at the airport. They'll be like, there he is. He conquered the UK, and now he's back in the good old US. I can't wait.
It'll be good to have you back. Yeah, it'll be good to have you back.
Yeah, I feel better now because the internet at this hotel is substantially better. So I feel better about BID tomorrow. And like the walls are really thin here. So if I'm gonna do section 10 on tomorrow night, I feel like I'm gonna have to find a conference room. So I'm gonna ask them if I can like use a conference room because it's gonna be like 3:30 in the morning when we do that. Oof. I don't want to piss people off. Like someone down the hall sneezed this morning and I heard it. Like you can hear the room next to the room next to the room. It's crazy.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt the Section 10 brand by waking a whole floor of hotel people.
I mean, there's a chance that people are listening, being like, I love this show.
Awesome. This is like a live recording. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is like the Beatles on the rooftop.
Maybe you should just move out into the hallway
so that everyone can hear.
Yeah, just record out there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. There's an idea. I might do that.
Yeah. So just lean into it and be like, I assumed you guys liked what you heard. Because nobody
I know you guys loved it. Yeah, like the British government, they put these blue plaques on every significant historical site. So if I do an episode out there in the hallway,
slap a plaque
up there. This is where Jared Carrabis on his first trip to the United Kingdom, his first time in Liverpool, recorded his podcast in this hallway outside this door.
You joke, man. Let's not rule it out. We could be having that conversation when we record in 15, 20 years. You could be recording from this very hotel room because you're back to celebrate your blue plaque.
Mm-hmm. Listen, sky's the limit. It starts with a vision, Jay. It starts with a vision.
Yes, as you know, that Biggie song said, "Sky is the limit."
He did say that. Yep.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
I think he was the first person. That's why I'm attributing the quote to him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember it. Never forget it.
Just keep on pressing on.
Right.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Shout out to Christopher Wallace. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you then.
We gone for real.